Welcome to the Old Time Radio Westerns. I'm your host, Andrew Rhynes, and I'm excited to bring you another episode absolutely free. This is one of over 80 episodes released monthly for your enjoyment. Now, let's get into this episode.
Adventures in Research. He couldn't read or write until he was 18. Yet this English coal miner had steam on his mind, and nothing was going to stop him till he had spun a web of iron across England. This is the story of George and the Iron Monster. This is Paul Shannon bringing you another transcribed story of science produced as a public service in cooperation with the Westinghouse Research Laboratories. And today, telling you the story of George Stephenson and the steam locomotive. Stephenson was a miner at Newcastle-on-Tyne, but his mind was on steam, the force that could drive machines. And in 1825 came his opportunity.
Yes, Mr. Stephenson, thou hast heard correctly. The Society of Friends have petitioned Parliament for permission to build a carriage route from Stockton to Darlington. But what concern is it of thine?
Mr. Cameron, I have in operation a railroad that I would like you to see.
My friend, although we have not yet received permission from Parliament for our railroad, if thy horses are of sufficient speed and hardiness...
No, not horses. A steam railroad, Mr. Cameron. I have built a locomotive that runs on steam. You won't need horses. So far, everybody has laughed at me, but before you laugh, won't you have a look at it?
My friend, you have startled me. A steam railroad? What next, I ask thee? Imagine a steam railroad. But surely, Mr. Stephenson, we shall study your steam railroad.
Fine. I just want you to see Puffin' Billy, because once you see my locomotive...
Puffing who, sir?
Puffing Billy, so that's what I call the locomotive. I suppose it's strange to call an iron boiler by a name, but truth, I have an affection for it.
Indeed. Mr. Stephenson, if thou tell us when we may view this iron railroad of thine, we shall be most happy to study thy puffing William.
Mr. Stephenson's locomotive seemed to pass the test, and Parliament soon convened to consider the new railroad. At that time in England, the bulk of commercial traffic was carried by ships through canals. So when a land railroad was suggested between Stockton and Darlington, everyone associated with the canals was ready to fight it tooth and nail.
Why, we'd be ruined if things like this started. That's why we have to band together. I'm confident that we can get Parliament to see the light on this.
Of course. Now, Lord Governor will handle the examination. And surely you know Lord Governor is the best in it. Why, when he gets this Stephenson on the witness stand, Goverley will cut him to ribbons. Now, don't worry.
Well, get Goverley to work. Let him find out about this project. We have to stop this upstart if it takes every penny in our fund.
Now, don't worry, I tell you. Stephenson will regret the day he ever thought up this foolish notion.
The obscure mining engineer continued tinkering with his iron locomotive, unaware of the storm that was gathering over his head. When the bill for the railroad came up before Parliament, the opposition was ready. The great Lord Goverley stood before the body, his long white wig topping the surly sneer on his lips.
My lords, we are asked to consider a most extravagant request. A nightmare of a dull-witted mechanic. What can be more ridiculous than the prospect of locomotives traveling twice as fast as stagecoaches? We would as soon expect people to permit themselves to be fired off upon a rocket as trust themselves to the mercy of such a machine going at such a rate. What person would ever think of paying anything to be conveyed from Stockton to Darlington, or Manchester to Liverpool by a roaring steam engine? Do I hear anyone say he would volunteer for such a venture? Of course not. But there are yet other factors to be considered. Let us consider the plight of the people who will be affected. You are a farmer, Mr. Trenton.
Aye, sir.
What would you say to an iron locomotive?
Well,
If by such means horses would become extinct in England, and of course no horses, no market for oats and hay.
Abomination. 'Twould ruin us. An invention of the devil.
That will be all. Step down. You would not like to have your verdant green fields besmirched with iron tracks, would you, sir? I put it to you, would not this boisterous, rattling, puffing machine stop your cows from grazing, your hens from laying?
Treason, my lord, to allow such a thing. Treason!
Consider such a machine running near your home, with fire belching from its stacks, to be caught by a wayward wind onto your roof. Suddenly your cottage is ablaze. You have a family, sir?
Aye, 2 daughters and a baby son.
Ah, yes. And your baby son trapped by the raging flames spread by this juggernaut. Would you ask that Parliament vote for such?
Hanging's too good for the man that thought of it.
And now, if it please, my lords, I have summoned to the witness stand a George Stephenson, a mining engineer from Newcastle on Tyne, who seems to be laboring under the idea that this locomotive of his is feasible and practical. And now, Mr. Stephenson.
That is my name.
You are aware that you are the only engineer in England who has come forward to argue the cause of this steam railroad. I gather, sir, that you think you are right, and all the other great intellects of England are wrong.
Oh, I do not.
Ah, then you admit you might be wrong.
I do. My engine will run, sir.
Yes. Now, if such a railroad should be built, you would supervise the construction? Very well, then. Perhaps you could explain a few things to me, Lord. Isn't it a matter of common knowledge, something known by every schoolboy with any understanding of mechanics, that such a locomotive could not get up sufficient power to move in the teeth of a fair-sized wind?
Oh, not so, sir. I have a principle of applying the waste steam of the engine to increase the intensity of combustion in the boiler, and that will develop more power in the engine.
Other men have devised steam locomotives before, have they not? And none of them have ever thought of this before?
Not that I know of, sir.
I see. Did not a man named Trevithick build a steam engine that ran on cast iron rails? And if I recall, they held a test, and the engine crushed the rails into fragments.
Maybe so, but it won't happen to this one of mine.
No?
Providing the rails are sufficiently strong, why, there's no limit to the speed a properly built engine might get. You see, my lords, all the other inventors who worked on a steam railroad, they said that the locomotive wouldn't be able to bite upon the rails unless the wheels had teeth. But I've experimented, and the wheels will stick to a smooth rail. There's enough friction.
You need not trouble us with such technical jargon, Mr. Stephenson. We are not interested in such things. Is it not true, I put it to you, that these locomotives in the past have barely gone along at the rate of 6 miles an hour?
But I've taken care of that. I invented a steam blast. I have a patent on it that will get more...
You have done all this by yourself. It is your opinion, then, and only your uncorroborated opinion that...
My railroad will run, I tell you.
Mr. Stephenson, I call your attention to this map, proposed line of this steam railroad. Is that right? Now I ask you, look at the place I have marked with red, where your steam railroad will travel. Do you know that this is a bog, a peat bog 12 square miles in size, a bog that will not hold up the weight of a single man? You propose to put your iron behemoth across a bog that will engulf one man? I beseech you, Mr. Stephenson, in the name of sanity and humanity, forget this wicked idea. Forget this iron monster.
My railroad will run!
Lord Goverley had indeed confused and abused the mining engineer. George Stevenson left the witness box with a defeated, beaten look on his face. Even his friends turned from him. It did sound silly, an iron railroad puffing steam across England. But the promoters were adamant. They had invested too much money to stop now. And finally, Parliament gave in, granted the right to build a steam railroad. And George Stevenson went to work.
I venture to tell you, people will live to see the time when railroads will become great highways for the king and all his subjects. It will be cheaper for a working man to travel on a train than to walk. What I have declared today will come to pass just as surely as you have heard me.
Well, what about the peat bog, Mr. Stevenson?
What about that peat bog? Insufficient to support a man. How could Stevenson's iron locomotive cross it?
Maybe the ocean cannot support a man either, but it can support a boat. Why can I not just float a road over the bog?
You said something, Mr. Stevenson?
I said float a road over it. Float? We'll dig drains on all sides, build a foundation like a basket of moss, and cover it with clay. We'll fill it in with moss and clay until our road is higher than the bog.
Stevenson compressed 700,000 cubic yards of moss into a ridge of 270,000 cubic yards. He overcame other obstacles along the route, tunneled under Liverpool for 1.5 miles, scooped 2 miles through mountain rock, built 63 bridges, and, oh yes, he also built the locomotive.
Hey, did you hear the news? Stevenson's locomotive, the Rocket, went 29 miles an hour.
Yes, the Iron Horse was here at last, thanks to George Stevenson, who invented a steam blast to increase combustion of the fuel, built an improved, more efficient boiler, and devised many other features that made the locomotive possible. Yet George Stevenson did not rest on his laurels. He supervised railroad construction all over the continent.
Stevenson called to Austria to construct new railroads.
He continued to improve his locomotives.
Stevenson's new locomotive reaches speed of 80 miles an hour.
Yet this humble engineer was never too busy to attend to the minor things of life which he considered important.
But, Mr. Stevenson, the scarf joint problem demands your immediate attention.
Oh, not now. Can't you see I'm busy? Writing a letter to my son, Robert. You'll be happy to hear that a pair of robins have built their nest in one of the upper rooms.
At 60, honored and eulogized, the man who perfected the English railroad retired to a country estate to live in peace and to grow pineapples as big as pumpkins. In 1848, he quietly passed away, and the miners he knew so well followed his coffin to its final resting place. And perhaps the greatest tributes given him were by these men he had grown up and worked with.
Aye, George was a working man right to the end. Imagine, he even refused to be knighted by the Queen.
George Stevenson didn't need it, Alf. No, sir. A man knighted by God didn't need it.
And that's today's Adventures in Research, produced in cooperation with the Westinghouse Research Laboratories. These programs are broadcast to Armed Forces personnel overseas through the facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Join us again next week for another transcribed story of science on Adventures in Research.
This has been a presentation of OTRWesterns.com, and we hope you enjoyed. Please take some time to like and rate this episode within your favorite podcast application. Follow us on Facebook by going to OTRWesterns.com/Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel by going to OTRWesterns.com/YouTube. Become one of our ranch hands and unlock some exclusive content. We want to thank our most recent ranch hands, Steve, Technogod, and Craig, who joined us recently. You too can join by going to OTRWesterns.com/donate. Send us an email, podcast@OTRWesterns.com, and you can call and leave us a voicemail, 707-986-8739. This episode is copyrighted under the attribution non-commercial share-alike copyright. For more information, go to OTRWesterns.com/copyright. Have a great day, and thanks for listening.